2024 has given us a lot of good anime. Over 120 anime were released this year, and I'm not even sure if that includes the 2023 anime that finished in early 2024. A lot has happened in anime and manga this year. Popular shonen series ending this year, popular shonen series about to end in the anime in a couple years or so. If it's not next year, people crying over ships that were never going to be canon, fantasy anime showing all the way out, racism, top tier animation, and low tier animation. So I would like to present my very last minute 2024 best anime rankings. Obviously, I am just one person and I could not possibly watch every single anime that has released. I do have a sliver of a social life and an even larger slice of responsibilities. I do not get paid for this yet. So if I missed some of your faves, please comment them below and I would definitely love to check them out. And with that, here are my personal 2024 best anime rankings in categories, starting with best new anime series. Number 10 is Solo Leveling. Solo Leveling is what I like to call an inverse isekai. It's a modern day world with fantasy embedded into it. Like there's dungeons that just pop up in the sky like portals, and people fight in those guilds or parties and they go fight in those portals for money. Jinwoo, the main character, is kind of a little weak bum, and despite him being very weak, he endures a very painful experience that basically turns him into a ripped 6-foot tall man. He willingly goes on a whole bunch of trials to get stronger and stronger and level up so he can make money to get his mom out of the hospital. He goes on a lot of trials and a lot of dungeons willingly to defeat ops, and when the ops are more powerful than him, then he somehow barely makes it alive, and then he will train by defeating ops that he's already stronger than to then go back and defeat the op that he was once weaker than, thus leveling up. So basically, if you enjoy an OP character that keeps getting stronger and stronger, then you're gonna like this one.
Arise.
Number 9, Ranma Half. Ranma 1/2. Ranma Half. I've heard people say 1/2, but it's 1/2 that's half, and there's 2 people, so it would be half. Ranma Half, number 9. Ranma Half snuck its way to my ranking, and it's a last minute addition. However, it did make it to number 9. Ranma Half is not a brand new anime. It is actually a remake of a much older anime, but I'm still gonna count it. Ranma Half is the story of 2 teenagers who are arranged to be married by their parents. However, the male lead has a major secret. He turns into a girl when he is splashed with cold water, hence the half. Honestly, the show is charming. The characters are great. I like the male and female lead, and if you like the enemies to lovers trope, this is probably going to be a good anime for you. However, I will warn you that because it is a remake of the older version, it seems to have maintained a lot of the older version's themes, which is, the fan service. There's a lot of fan service. There's a lot of nudity of teenage girls. And I get the gag that when he turns into his girl form, he still acts like a male, so he has no regard for him taking his shirt off, except she's a girl and now just showing her bare chest. Heed my warning, you will see a teenage girl's bare chest. And I really hate that fact, because the rest of the show is, like I said, just very charming. And the 2 characters, the male and female lead, you really get to see them slowly start to fall for each other, and it's at a good pace for me. I've watched Food Wars and 7 Deadly Sins, so it's something I can handle. Colorful, nice animation, and a lot of the jokes, I haven't watched the original, but if they took jokes from the original to put back in this new adaptation, a lot of the jokes still work. Number 8, The Elusive Samurai. It is a historical, fantastical drama about a young prince, and he goes on this journey, and I don't want to spoil exactly what he does, but it is a major component of the story. The main character is lovable, the animation is bright, it's colorful, the male protagonist is adorable, yet he has a lot on his shoulders. Again, I won't spoil. He gets a group of friends along the way, and I love a found family trope. And the mentor is hot. So yeah, it's a win. Number 7, A Sign of Affection. Girl, when I tell you A Sign of Affection has made its way to be one of the best romance animes, and I kid you not. Not only is it a great romance anime, but there are adult leads. This is exactly what I needed. A Sign of Affection follows the story of a young woman who is deaf and how she navigates her way through life, feeling closed off and isolated from the world until she meets the male love interest, who expands her worldview and makes her feel less small. And of course, it wouldn't be a romance anime if there wasn't a damn love triangle. Except I don't consider it a love triangle. because the second male lead is a piece of and there are other side characters besides the that actually are interesting, and I root for them in their little relationships. It's cute, it's adult, it gets to the point. There isn't a lot of unnecessary miscommunication, and spoiler, but you know you like the spoiler, the couple does get together. My number 6, Kaiju number 8. A world where there are monsters that they call Kaiju appear out of nowhere and cause mass destruction and also a lot of casualties, which calls for an elite task force or specialized unit of soldiers who hunt those Kaijus down and exterminate them. The main character is an underdog that you just root for so badly. I think what's also refreshing about it is that he's not a teenager, he's a grown man. I think he's supposed to be almost in his 30s or already in his 30s. And he just wants to make it up there in that task force with his number one girl. However, in a near-death accident, he finds himself as one of the Kaiju. Kaiju is great. I was hooked from the first episode. The comedy is good. The characters are pretty much likable for the most part. The villain is interesting and weird, like an Ultron-esque villain. The animation is pretty good, and the fight sequences are too. Now let's move on to the anime that had me watching it twice back to back in the same weekend. Number 5, Windbreaker. Now you're probably wondering, now how did Windbreaker get such a high position when it has such a simple plot line? To be honest, I don't really know, but it is the only anime this entire year that I watched all in one day and then watched it again the next day. Windbreaker is a story of a main character who's new in this small town and joins a school of delinquents that aren't actually delinquents and are actually saviors of this small town who protects people from actual delinquents. The fight sequences are insane, the animation is crisp and clear, and the main character is an adorable hothead that blushes when he's mad, flustered, or happy. And of course, there's a found family trope. I will never get tired of a found family trope. Windbreaker has everything I need. I'm not afraid to admit that. I have no problem with complex stories, but just because the plot line is simple doesn't make it any less enjoyable than the more complex ones. Windbreaker is a story about heart. It's a story about family. Like I said, the fight choreography is insane and the animation is crisp, and I pray that it stays the same for the second season that already got renewed and is coming out next year. Number 4, Apothecary Diaries. Mao Mao is a young apothecary that lives in the entertainment district, and she just got kidnapped and sold into servitude within the Emperor's palace. She is so naturally inquisitive and uses her medicinal expertise to solve various mysteries in the royal court. Apothecary Diaries is more than a romance anime that you may see it advertised as on TikTok or any other social media. It itself is a mystery drama, and it could stay just as that. The fact that she can read and she just looks intelligent caught the attention of Jinshi, the handsome eunuch, and the two of them work together to uncover mysteries with a little bit of romance sprinkled in, even though Mao Mao cannot recognize it. The anime is colorful and the animation is quite fluid. But let's move on to number 3, because this is one of the many examples of the fantasy anime that has been showing out all year 2024. My number 3, Delicious in Dungeon. Delicious in Dungeon is an anime that could trick you by the name alone. Delicious in Dungeon is a delightful blend of fantasy and cooking. Yes, there's food in it, but there's so much more. They have great individual character designs. This ragtag small group led by Laios and accompanied by Marcel, Chilchuk, and Senshi to get his sister back who has been eaten by a dragon. It has components of a slice of life in an action and adventure story. The anime is freaking hilarious. I did not expect it to be as funny, and I am an English dub watcher, and I want to say the dub voice actors did a great job. This anime is definitely one of the biggest standouts for fantasy in 2024, but there is one fantasy anime that most definitely surpasses it. My number 2, Frieren Beyond Journey's End. Another fantasy anime that took us by storm this year. A story that is somehow intriguing as it tells us about the aftermath of the major journey to, of course, kill a demon king. The main character, Frieren, is another female character that is so refreshing to see this year. She is an elf mage who has a very long lifespan. We see her reminisce the good old days of her old guild as they embark on their journey, but she embarks on a new one and meets new people. And instead of them giving us a full-on flashback that covers a few episodes, the anime reveals more and more about Frieren's past and the people she encounters, especially her relationship with Himmel, the leader of the guild, throughout the anime, and show-stopping battles between characters and creatures and all of the above. It is truly one of the best anime series of the entire year. However, it's not my number 1. Dragons and mages and demons weren't enough. No, but you know what was enough? aliens and ghosts. My number one anime of the year is Dandadan. Dandadan is a slippery snake the way it found its way to the very top. Pretty late in the year, might I add. Momo Ayase is another female character who is refreshing to see with her attitude, her vibes. Kenta Kakura, aka Okarun, is an adorable nerdy boy who is interested in the occult, and for some reason we never see his parents, but has faithfully turned into a yokai because a old granny monster ghost stole his balls. Yeah, those. It makes sense when you see it. This anime also has one of the best openings, the best opening of the entire year, and I'm already thinking about how they're gonna top that in season 2, if it's even possible. Honestly, I'm too scared. They might as well just keep the opening throughout the whole damn series. And what contributed to it being number 1 is the smart, bright, brilliant idea of making it simuldubbed with English and Japanese. Therefore, I was able to tune into this anime weekly, every Thursday. And although the cliffhangers drove me crazy, I could not wait to tune in on a Thursday and watch the anime and fully indulge myself into it because I get to hear it in English. Nothing wrong with the Japanese. It's just my personal preference. They basically fought Godzilla, and we saw spaceships start taking cows away. What's next? We gonna see crop circles too? I mean, you might as well add the crop circles. That's just kind of the alien thing. Here's the major drawback. I complimented it enough. The major drawback is the unnecessary sexual assault of the female lead, Momo Ayase. How did we start the series with it in the first episode and then end the season with it again? It is an unnecessary plot device. I don't know why she needs to be tortured in that way, as if being captured and tied up fully clothed isn't enough. And it doesn't add anything to the story. To have so many of the good parts of shoujo and then throw that shonen fan service BS into it, and it's like, could you even consider that fan service really when she's just getting uncomfortably assaulted by male aliens? It's the major drawback. I can't even blame people if they don't want to watch it because it's very explicit and long. It still made my number 1 because I could handle it to a certain degree, and I love the many other aspects of Dandadan. But it's disturbing. The way every episode has been ending with a cliffhanger, if you didn't know that last episode was the last episode, you would have expected another episode the next week, Thursday. And to your surprise, you would have found nothing. Those are my top 10 new anime series of 2024. Now to my honorable mentions of new anime in 2024. Wisteria Wanden Sword. Another fantasy anime with really good animation about an underdog main character who wants to get stronger so he can see his childhood best friend again. Animation is really good. The main character is somebody you root for. Even though he does not have magic, he's super strong. He's basically Asta from Black Clover. Undead Unluck. Honestly, a pretty underrated anime because it's stuck, it was on Hulu. Really unique power system that they have going on. The main character, Undead, also known as Andy, and his partner, Unluck, Fuko. Although I did find Fuko to be quite annoying, I did have my own review of the anime. I do learn that later on, she becomes less annoying. The show's action-packed. Everybody has like a unsomething power, and it's a pretty good watch. And then we have GoGo Loser Ranger, a knockoff version of the Power Rangers, except they're characters from The Boys. They're corrupt villains that are masquerading as heroes, and one of the actual play villains decides to infiltrate the GoGo Loser Rangers to exact his revenge. And in this own category are the anime movies that released this year. I'm telling you right now, I have not seen the Spy Family movie. I know, but to be honest, it probably was going to be number 3 on that list anyways. So number 2 is Look Back. Look Back is an anime movie based off the one-shot manga by Tatsuki Fujimoto, also known for his work in Chainsaw Man. It is a beautiful exploration of artistic passion and friendship, and the film has very detailed character animation as if it jumped right out of the pages. And I gotta give my number 1 favorite anime movie of 2024 to Haikyuu, The Battle at the Garbage Dump. Haikyuu is one of the best sports animes out there, and it's slowly coming to an end. And although I unfortunately got spoiled, and I'm very upset about it because manga readers do not care about anime onlys, and I'm sure it's not all of you, but it is a good majority of you, so just refrain from the commentary about how it's not you. I know it's not you, it's everybody else. Calm down. Anyways, it is great, it's nostalgic, and honestly, I enjoyed it. Even when I watched it in theaters alone by myself on a weekday in a small theater, I got to speak commentary out loud. Now we get to my ranking of 2024 continuing series. Let's start with the last one, number 13, Blue Lock. If you can't figure out why Blue Lock on there, I'm pretty sure we all know why Blue Lock is so low, when it should have potentially been higher up. The animation is buns, and I hate that because I'm usually one of the people that gives animation slack. I'm like, I can still sit there and enjoy it. It's not that big of a deal. I watch Record of Ragnarok. I can handle some slideshow animation. Nah, that's bad. TikTok and Twitter has a way of over exaggerating things about animation, but Blue Lock, the last episode was its saving grace. I'm hoping that season 3 would have better animation, so let's hold out hope for that. Number 12 is Spy Family season 2. It was just an okay season. I still enjoy Anya and Yor and Lloyd together. It's a good comedy. It's a good slice of life kinda with a little bit of action in between. Number 11 is Kimi ni Todoke From Me to You. This is actually my very first time ever watching that series, considering that it wasn't English dub. Yes, I sometimes don't watch series that aren't English dub, especially if it's like a whole bunch of seasons. I don't want to hear it. This is a romance anime, and I do like it for the most part. It did have a lot of will they, won't they, a lot of miscommunication. I'm satisfied with the ending, kind of. To be honest, I really like the two side characters. I don't know if they would continue it, but if they did, I would continue watching it. Number 10 is Konosuba. Listen, if you know Konosuba, and if you watch certain shows like Seven Deadly Sins, Food Wars, Dadon, you can handle Konosuba. Konosuba is an isekai, and believe it or not, is actually one of the isekais that I like. When you accept Konosuba for what it is, you're able to enjoy it because the English dub is great and the comedy is hilarious. Yes, it is very off-putting seeing so much fan service. Season 3 was an enjoyable season. We got to know a lot more about Darkness, and Kazuma got to be more of a hero this season. Number 9 is Mashal season 2. And honestly, it deserved the spot just for bring bum bum bring bum bum bring bum bum bum. Mashal season 2, I mean, again, if you like watching an overpowered character beat the odds against him, another magicless underdog surrounded by people who have magic, yet he is more powerful than every single person. That's basically it. Although Mashal has the muscle and the magic, it's missing the melodrama and the Macbeth from our animal thespians in Beastars season 3. Listen, man, if you haven't watched it by now and you're like, how could you watch this? You gotta understand. Beastars is more than what you think it is. When you get over the fact that we're watching animals act as humans, it's actually a really great coming of age teen drama. And I've been tuned in for every season. I mean, I was a non-believer too until I heard Jonah Scott's voice. Then things really weren't that bad. And Legoshi actually wasn't that horrible to hear or see or hear. There's also a good question that they bring up about interspecies dating, considering the social conflict going on between the herbivores and the carnivores. Carnivores versus herbivores, a spicy zootopia, if you will. Not that made it any better, actually. A lot of herbivores don't feel safe and they're very prejudiced, and a lot of carnivores still want to eat herbivores. So, and although I just briefly talked about furries, we're going back to the fantasy with my number 7, the Shuffle Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. I gotta be honest with you, I didn't even want to put this damn anime on my list. I mean, I should have known better with how it started, but when you put on an anime while you're doing things and then you just kind of get locked in? Yeah, that's what happened to me. And so I ended up getting caught up all the way up to the current season. And I don't want to talk too much about it because I already have a video filmed and I plan to put up in more depth about why I was disappointed by it. But this anime really had the potential to be one of the best isekais. And I'm sure people already regard it as such, but it really would have been the cream of the crop and actually deserved all of the praise if it weren't for a few major events that take place. Right above that is my number 6, another fantasy isekai anime that is ReZero season 3. An isekai anime that is still my number 1 and has not failed me yet, and I pray they don't fail me now. The first episode was like an hour or so long, but they knew that they were teasing us until the last 15 minutes when things start to pick up and get that ReZero vibe that we've been looking for. Subaru Natsuki is a good main character, and it was just so good to see how much Subaru Natsuki has grown as a character and as a hero, and how less he has relied on return threatened by death. I do have an honorable mention, which is Sukimi Moonlet Fantasy Season 2, and it is definitely because I forgot to put it on there and I just reminded myself about it when I was filming this video, so it doesn't have an official ranking. But honestly, Season 2 wasn't as good to me, but what I will say is I still like it because I really like the main character, and I like that he's like, which is freaking bare minimum, by the way, an isekai character that's not a huge pervert and actually has a goal and wants to, like, he uses his overpoweredness and his like diplomacy. He's smart. It's honestly more of a chill anime for me to watch with some good action in between. And from fantasy, we move on to a high school drama that is Classroom of the Elite Season 3. Classroom of the Elite is an anime that, like, the first episodes you think, why do people say this anime is good? Trust, you just continue watching it, play it in the background while you do stuff, and that episode, and those of you who watched it know, that episode will come up and you'll be locked in from that point forward. And the times that I think the second season is not going to be good as the first, it was. Season 3, it wasn't as good as Season 2, but it was still good. Just seeing the main character, Ayana Koji, I just want to see how far he can go, especially now that I know his motives are to basically piss off his dad and do whatever he wants before he gets taken away. I root for him. Like, go ahead. I'm even allowing what I see is a slow forming harem. I will allow, because I know that you won't be able to experience like being a regular teenager again. My number 4, which may come as a surprise to some of you, is Tower of God Season 2. This is why I tell people, do not rely on people from Twitter and TikTok when they talk about how bad something is, because yeah, Tower of God, the art style is definitely different and it's a more generic anime art style, and I definitely miss how the art style was in Season 1 because it was unique and different and it stood out. But even though the animation is not the same for Season 2, it wasn't bad. Season 2 was quite good. Like, I liked it. I mean, I love the main character. I love the found family trope. I love the reunion between Bomb and his friends. Like, I'm so glad that that's not something that we had to wait an entire season for. Honestly, the animation really wasn't that bad. The fight sequences I was able to keep up with. Like, it wasn't like Blue Lock. Like, I feel like those of you who thought Tower of God was bad, but you watched Blue Lock, you go ahead and finish Tower of God Season 2. To my top 3. Number 3, Demon Slayer Hashira Training Arc. Contrary to what other people say, I don't know, I enjoyed the fun times before the disaster and the despair, okay? I enjoyed the cute little slice of life moments before the lives get sliced. Like, I didn't see a problem with it. The animation is always great and crisp, and honestly, to chill and vibe with the characters and their like interactions for the most part, besides Tsunami being a hothead throughout the entire season and being freaking annoying. I said what I said. The payoff in the last 2 episodes were 100% worth it. And all it did was just make us even more hyped for the movies that are going to come out. And you know what? Considering that the manga already ended and I know, you know, they're doing the movies definitely for the cash, I honestly don't mind it because I would like to prolong the ending. Not an Attack on Titan type of way, because that was some BS, not gonna lie. They was really stretching it. But like, let me prolong the inevitable deaths of some of these characters, especially some that manga readers have already spoiled me on. Let me just pretend that never happens and genuinely be surprised, because I may forget. I'm trying so hard to forget. I love Demon Slayer Season 4, and I do plan on watching it again. I may watch it again tonight, low-key. My number 2 though is Bleach 1000 Year Blood War Core 3. Let me tell you something. If you don't know by now, I'm a Bleach fanatic. Honestly, I still feel like it's not hype enough. Like, y'all are not giving it the hype that it deserves. I still feel like that. I'm seeing more stuff now and I'm so happy about it. I'm seeing more new fans that like saw 1000 Year Blood War and then now they're like, okay, I want to watch the rest of the series or whatever. Dude, it's so easy to go online now and which episodes are filler, not watch those and then move on. Skip the bounce arc, it's not canon, and move on. Bleach is great. It's part of the big 3 for a reason, and it definitely deserves its flowers. The animation is like movie style animation every single episode. The bankais are magnificent. I don't even mind the 3D parts of it. Like, it literally does not bother me or take me out of the story at all. Kubo's way of answering those long awaited questions that we've had for years since like the 2000s anime, and I'm not somebody that watched it in the early 2000s, so I can only imagine how long people had those questions until they just read the manga and found out about it, you know? Seeing how things are getting pieced together about the characters and their origins and like why things are the way that they are, and things that were just like speculation coming into fruition. Like, I enjoyed all of that. And it's Ichigo. Ichigo is one of my favorite main characters ever. And if you haven't watched Bleach yet, I highly encourage you to do so. Especially, you can even start with Thousand Year Blood War if you want to, although I feel like you're gonna be confused. I sound like a One Piece fan, but you know what? Bleach anime is shorter. So, and this is no shade to the other animes in the big three. I want to highlight Bleach. It would have been number one, but a certain anime took the number one spot. My Hero Academia Season 7. I don't care what anybody says. I've never let a fandom dictate what I won't and will watch, ever. I don't care about how ridiculous they acted. I made my commentary on it because it's funny and it's ridiculous. It's never been a determining factor on if I would watch the anime and how I perceive the characters at all, because like that's my viewing experience. My Hero Season 7 was action from beginning to end. I'm not ready for the story to be finished. I didn't think the anime was so close to the manga, like so close behind. I thought we was gonna have a couple more seasons left, but girl, Season 8 is the last season that's coming out next year. There's a little bit of nostalgia mixed in there. There's hope. I've seen somebody talk about it before, and it is something I would like to talk about in my videos as well, is that rooting for a pure-hearted, good hero is never going to get old. Don't get me wrong, I love me a good anti-hero. I like a dark, brooding guy. If you see my type in anime men, they're all Levi's and Tojis and all of the above. When it comes to rooting for a main character, for a hero, Midoriya, Tanjiro, Ichigo, Asta, those heroes are always going to do it for me. My Hero has a great concept of heroism. Sure, it's not the very best story out there, but it is pretty revered as a good hero story. This is the first time I ever felt any type of sympathy for Toga, because I literally despised her this whole entire time, which is why it's an important thing for manga readers to allow anime onlys to formulate their own opinions on things. My Hero Academia always hypes me up, and that is why it deserved the spot as my number one for 2024 releases of ongoing anime series. And that is the end of my 2024 best anime rankings. If you stuck out till the end, thank you. I appreciate it. Happy New Year! I will meet you all in 2025 with more long form content. So definitely like, subscribe, and put those notifications on. All right, bye.